Today's lesson is 5.3, and we're going to start with our spiral review on page 280. These are our 4 spiral review problems. Go ahead and push pause. Complete them either in your book or right here on a blank sheet of paper. Do the ones that are right here. There's a few hints on there for you, and then we will go over them together when you replay the video. Okay. All right, so let's go over these together. So the first one, we are putting the numbers in order from the smallest to the greatest, least to greatest. Remember the arrows always point at the smallest one. So here we have a -5 and 25 hundredths as our smallest number, then a -5 and 9 hundredths next, and then 1 and 2 thousandths. Okay, the next one, we graph those dots on the coordinate plane and we find the distance between each of the dots. When you plot them, you'll find that you get 7, 5, 7, and 5, which will be 24 units when added all together. Number 5 says a table below shows that the widths and lengths in feet for different playgrounds. Which playgrounds have equivalent ratios of width and length? So the way I went about this was I put all of my fractions into a decimal, and you can use a calculator, taking your top number divided by the bottom number, numerator divided by the denominator, to get your decimal. And that is what I did here: 12 divided by 20, 20 divided by 25, 16.5 divided by 27.5. And I put those in a calculator, and I found that A and D are equivalent. A and D are equivalent. Okay. Not sure what that one is. So, this last one is 85% is shaded. 85 over 100 or 85%. And they want it in a percent, so you would want to make sure that you answer with the 85 and the percent sign. Okay, now you're going to need to pause your video here because I want you to write all of this down. So you have this in your notes for your test. These are the steps of making a fraction into a percent. So on today's lesson, like yesterday's lesson, we took a percent, we made it into a decimal, we made it into a fraction. This time you're going to have a fraction and we are going to make that into a percent. So we're going to turn the fraction into a decimal by dividing or getting 100 in the denominator. So somehow we are going to get a decimal number. And then once you have a decimal number, you're going to move the decimal 2 spots to the right and add a percent sign. So you're multiplying that number. So let me give you a quick example. Let's say we have a decimal of 0.35. You are going to multiply it by 100 in order to turn it in. This is 3,500, so it'd be the same as 35%. So you'll be moving the decimal twice and turning it into a percent sign. That is what we're practicing today. So go ahead and copy that all down, and then we will start an activity. We'll do a we do problem together. Okay, let's look at this we do problem. So we are going to compare these, but we need to compare them by putting the amount of sand over the total amount for each one. So here we have sand. We have 30 cups of sand, and we have 10 cups of water and flour. So total we would have, because remember, a percent is always the amount out of the total. So that's why we're taking the 30 and the 10, and we're adding them together to find the total amount. We're finding out what is the percentage of sand in this total amount. So we have 30 over the total of 40. So here, you could take a calculator if you wanted. Let's see if I have mine around here. Well, I have one on my phone, so let me use that one. You could take a calculator. There's one on your Chromebook in the little circle. I think I've shown you all where it is. Okay, and I am going to put in 30 divided by 40 equals, and I get 0.75. Now, in order to turn that into a decimal or into a percentage, you're going to take your 75 hundredths, move your decimal twice, and make it into 75%. Okay? All right, so this one, we have 19/20ths of sand, and we have 1/20th of water and flour. So we're going to take our 19/20ths. There's 20 total parts, right? 19 plus 1 is 20. So we're going to take our 19/20ths and turn that into a decimal. So you could multiply by 5 because 20 times 5 is going to be 100. That's kind of an easy one I don't even need my calculator for. 19 times 5 is 95. And then I have 95/100ths, which I can easily make into a decimal. Or I can also make it into a percent because 95% means 95 out of 100. Okay, let's look at this next one. We have 89/100ths on the top, 89/100ths. And if I add 89 plus 11, I get 100. 89 plus 11 is 100. So I have 89/100ths, right? This is in the hundredths place. I'm going to take that 89/100ths and divide it. Oh, I don't even need to divide. There's 100 on the bottom, so I just write 0.89. There is our 89/100ths, which would also be 89%. Okay. Here we have sand, water, and flour. This one, they just separated the water and flour, but we do need to add them all in. So if we're just wondering what's the percentage of sand, we have 20 cups of sand, and then total, 20 plus 2 plus 3 would be 25. That's another one that's easy to get 100ths on the bottom. Remember, whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top to keep it an equivalent fraction. So I'm going to get 80 over 100, which is equal to 0.8 or equal to 80%. So now I can compare these, and if they were asking me which of these have the largest percent of sand, I would say B. If they ask me which of these mixtures have the least percentage of sand, I would say A. So there's a lot of different questions that can be asked, but mainly what you're going to be doing is you're going to take a part and put it over the whole, turn it into a decimal, and then turn it into a percent. Okay, I would like you to pause your video here and try these problems, these you do problems. When you're done, resume and we'll do them together. Okay, so here I have 20 times 5 is 100. Whatever I do to the bottom, I must do to the top. So I'm going to multiply 11 times 5. And I get 55/100ths, which is the same as 55%. Okay, so here they give us a decimal, but it's a decimal that goes all the way to the thousandths place, and we can only move our decimal 2 spots when we make it into a percent. You can't just get rid of the decimal. You can only move it 2 spots because you're like multiplying by 100, right? That's what you're going to do in order to turn it into a decimal. That was what was on our notes on the first page. So here when you multiply it by 100, get 52.4%. Okay, here we stuck our bottom out to divide. 40 doesn't fit into 30, but it does fit into 300. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. 7 times 40 is 280. And 40 will go into 200 5 times evenly. So I will have to take this decimal, move my decimal 2 times. So this is not 75%. This is going to be 7.5%. Because again, we can't just get rid of our decimal. We just move it 2 spots to the right and turn it into a percent. Okay, I would like you to pause your video again and try these. Actually, just try the top here. And then I will do the bottom ones with you here in a minute. So pause. Okay, and then we're going to go over them together. So here we have, we're going to get 100 on the bottom by multiplying by 20. And 7 times 20. And notice the number on the top here is bigger. So we are going to have a number bigger than 100. 7 times 2 is 14. We get 140 over 100. And remember, when something is a number out of 100, this would be the same as 140%. All right, here we're going to multiply by 2 to get this into tenths. We have 14 tenths. 14 tenths, let's see, how can I explain this one? So we can also get an equivalent fraction here by multiplying the top and bottom by 10, because remember, percentage is always how many out of 100. So again, it is going to be 140%. Another way to do this would be 14 tenths. You could write it as 1.4. So it ends in the tenths place, 14 tenths. And you know that you need to know how many hundredths. You could just add your placeholding 0 in. You'll also move 2 spots to the right to get 140. All right, try these 3 on the bottom. Pause the video and try them now. Okay, so we have a decimal 0.7, and we need to turn that into a percent, right? So we need, let's add in a 0 here. So this is like 7 tenths. I'm going to add a 0 here too, or 70 hundredths. 70 hundredths is the same as 70%. So sometimes you have to add those placeholding zeros. That'll help you. All right, so here we have 50 times 2 is 100. 13 times 2 is 26. 26 hundredths is the same as 26%. And then here we stick our bottom out and divide. We added a 0 in there. 40 will go into 82 times. Right now we have a 2 in the tenths place, but remember we always need to see how many hundredths in order to put it into a percent, so that will turn into 20 hundredths. Okay, good luck on that today. I think you'll do just fine. Ask questions if you need help.